Hi. That tango. That tango. Hi, tango. Hi. Is that you? That tango? I know you your whole life. I know you your whole life. So the whole time that you were born, I know you your whole life. And do you know how many miles I traveled to love you? 47 years and many miles all this way to love you. That little Tango. He's such a good boy. Tango. We don't need to see the southbound end of a northbound cat. Or the northbound end of a southbound cat. Hi, welcome to my tube. My name's Marge. I'm a Heyoka empath. I just like having these little talks on the way I feel about things. I feel pretty good today, although the world's getting pretty nutty, isn't it? Things are getting pretty nutty. We're seeing the divide, and when I think of the divide, I think about you got all the people in the world that are 50.1%, just enough to tilt it over, just enough to teeter it, you know. You got 50.1% of the population that are living from spirit, and then you got the rest of the population that are living 50.1% more from ego. And we're seeing people they're not using any kind of discipline or control in their lives, and there's a lot of people that their freaking self-will is just running riot. And I know a lot about that from personal experience. I had to learn a lot of life lessons from freaking just living from my ego, that more than 50%. A good example, I watched an excerpt today. It's about 16 minutes long. Took place in Florida with a scumbag named, what was it? What's his name? A lot of people have seen it. Martin Hyde. Hyde. I think it's so funny how sometimes people's names really tell us who we are. Yeah. And he's hiding in plain sight. You know, that guy's a total piece of work. He epitomizes the freaking majority of what freaking I have known men to be on this planet in the 47 years I've been here. These are why because I'm a strong female, and these are like the cop that showed up, and she was a lot for. See, I can't be a cop. My endocrine system's fried, man. I freaking run my mouth. Yeah, I don't, you know, and up until 5 years ago, I had freaking the military bearing and emotional control. I mean, I wouldn't get riled, and now it's just like, you know. I get riled. I meditate a lot too, so I can freaking tap into that freaking, so I don't get riled as much. You know, it's what crazy mad science does. That's what these freaking, you know, freaking control freaks are all about. So, I just share my experience in here so that maybe it'll keep somebody from doing something that they could end up like me. You don't want to end up like me. God forbid. So, I watched his video, and and he's just, and what I don't understand is when I was in history and like, government class and stuff like that in junior high, I don't remember, I remember naturalized, you know, but I remember the creature, because it was Mr. Bauer was my history teacher, and he was so dry. So the content so fucking dry. I hated history, because I'm just like, dude, I always knew it was based on who won or who had it was just always freaking, deck's always been stacked. I always known that. My whole life I'd known that. So, it was so dry, but I don't, you know, this Hyde guy, he's not even from here. He sounds like he's from Europe someplace. Well, but he's lived here so long, he can run for freaking Senate or congressman or whatever, you know. I guess he's still doing it. He said, I guess he quit. He shut his stuff down, and then, but he recently, I guess he told that Tucker guy that he's still gonna run. And I'm just like, dude, you epitomize of freaking what is wrong with the world. That dude right there is why fucking Putin is freaking bombing Ukraine, or is taking Ukraine back, because it's full of these freaking rules, laws, regulations. That's why these guys, their whole life, and he's probably a pedo too. He probably is, dude. Had his freaking zipper down the whole time. He was probably freaking watching porn on his phone, racing down the road as a freaking thrill, because these perverts, man, you'd be surprised. People don't understand the level of freaking, it's like an alcoholic getting his booze. Like, they go through just like, they don't care who's around, they just got to get their fix. Or one of those sex addict types that they just like that Epstein and freaking most of the politicians, you know, that are all blackmailing each other and stuff because of all the perversions that they've done. You know, those bros clubs on the weekends. My brother, I mean, he's stereotypical fraternity guy, freaking poli-sci major, you know, so, and then went and got his law degree and has always worked for in the state system, just totally writing the system. You know, stop doing those bros clubs, though. What noise am I hearing? Are they freaking getting squirrely out there? What's the problem? Don't do that. Leave her alone. Is that Stan Lee crying? Maybe that was Stan Lee talking. Where'd he go? I don't know where he went. Anyway, so that guy, and this is what, if people want to go watch the video, I recommend the video. And what I'd like to do right now is kind of give a little bit of, like, I don't know, kind of a demonstration about what I do. Watch the video. Don't listen to me no more. Come back to me later. Go watch the video. Come up with your own opinion. And then I'll state my opinion now. Mom, will you let him out? He just locked himself in the bathroom, I think. Are you sleeping? No. Oh, okay. Sometimes you doze off while I do my talk. You got it? Not so steady on your feet today? Is it the light? No. Here, you sit down. I'll get him out. You just sit down. Go ahead, sit down. Come on. Go, Benny. Go. I'll let you out in a minute. We'll go up next. Go on. All right. So watching the video myself, these are my interpretations and my takeaway. And this is the stuff I do every freaking day. I mean, all the time. This is why I don't like to freaking interject myself with other people's energy feels too much, man. Because I just always freaking, it sucks, man. Being an empath, people think it's cute and it's fun and stuff like that. It's freaking draining. It's exhausting. And what are my alternatives? I get to just go through life ignoring things all the time. La la la. That's not how it is. But watching the video, my interpretations of it is I saw her employees throw her under the bus. The sergeant, when the sergeant showed up, he did say a couple things like, well, she is a traffic cop. It is her job. You know, he's like, you know, he kind of did, but he still was sucking Hyde. He still was sucking Hyde. Both of them were, you know. And she held her composure, but you could tell once her supervisors got there that her adrenaline kicked in. It was like, okay, this, you know, she had to, you know, see, that's the thing is people can't keep their shit together unless they're a psychopath. That's a good tell of someone that is a total freaking psychopath, narcissist, freaking all of it. Just people that never emotionally react or have they're like so stoic You know, and you can even tell the folks that are stoic, but then you can tell the shower. Maybe you can't. I can. I could tell the people, yeah, you're so tough and brave. You cry in the shower, don't you? You cry in the shower, I bet. And more often than not, I'm accurate. So, I've been a pretty good judge of character, vibrational frequency, my whole entire life. They're the same thing. It's interchangeable to me. So, both of her superior officers pretty much kind of freaking threw her under the bus, and I'm like, sister, that's why I can relate. You know, I freaking stood up and called out against freaking bullshit. That's why I only did 6 years in the Air Force, is because I saw that freaking bullshit all the time. And I'm like, this is why there's freaking homeless people all over the place. There's poor people everywhere. We grew up so freaking poor. We didn't have food to eat a lot of times and stuff like that. And then I joined the reason why. And I saw it from the inside. All the misappropriation of funds. The government. And it's just gotten out of control because these people that work in these paradigms, as you can see by that Hyde guy, they're just so egomaniacal. They just can't do anything wrong. And you know what? At one point in the video, they did even say that his registration was expired, so her ticket was still valid. He was like, she asked for his registration, and he's like, no, you can look it up. He was being a total d-bag. And so she was like, all right. So she went back and wrote the ticket. He wouldn't give her the registration. Yeah. And then gives a ticket, and he's like, here, I had it the whole time. Why are you? And then the guy's like, well, it's expired. You know, he said, you don't have registration. And she got a talking to. Maybe she got reprimanded. She very well could have. I've been reprimanded so many times in my life because of fucking the Bros Club. Because of the Bros Club. And it's in everything. And women are a part of the Bros Club too. So that's the thing, is I always stood in my integrity, and my history verifies this. And anybody that wants to contradict that, I invite them to come forward, and I will be glad to tell my side of the story, because I'm really good. Something I'm really good at is seeing where I'm wrong in things. My level of self-awareness, I don't know a lot of people that have the level of self-awareness that I have, or that practice it, or that even live in that discipline. I don't. Even all the spiritual ones, I watch all these videos, of all these different people, and I'm thinking the whole time, what are you doing with what you got? What are you doing with what you got? How are you paying it forward? I like people can, there's 2-3 people contribute to my channel. And when they contribute to my channel, I use that and I pay it forward. Today, me and Mom, we got to buy one of those really nice chicken dinners with some macaroni and cheese and some potato wedges, to carb load, because it snowed here today. I live in New Mexico, northern New Mexico. We got about, 5-6 inches. And it's pretty cold and blustery, and a gal stopped me, asked me if I had some extra, and I was like, all right, let me go inside and get something, and I'm going to get you something warm to eat, some hot food. And are you by yourself? These are the questions I asked. Do you have food allergies? I don't want to get you something and then you have a freaking allergic reaction. And then, are you by yourself? Because, you're a female. Females should not, I don't think that they should be traveling by themselves. I think, you at least travel with the travel companion. Or at least let somebody know where you're at all times, kind of thing. And, but she was, in fact, had a travel companion, so I was like, all right, I'll get enough for 2. And then I went inside, and there's a man who was training behind the counter. And I was like, can I get a mix and match? I know it depends on, the kindness of somebody's heart, really, because anybody can do anything. But if somebody doesn't like my attitude or like my face, or I remind them of somebody that they once hated, whatever freaking reason, people will be like, nope, you can only get one or the other. It's all that shit that's freaking needs to come to an end. All that control-y stuff. We're coming on the end of that. A bunch of people that don't give a shit about for freedom for 2 years, all of a sudden they're like, oh, the same country, we've been bombing freaking people in other countries, our freaking whole existence, it's based on stolen land. You can't, you know, no land is yours, but you took it from people that freaking respect it and honor it, my ancestors. You know, what people think that you can just get away with that shit for freaking century after century after century? No, that's why civilizations keep falling. God gives us everything we need to freaking take care of, be the custodians of this earth, and freaking human beings freaking jack it up every time. So, you know, call it karma, call it freaking the reset. I call it the freaking turn over the time, the timepiece, the hourglass resetting. You know, degaussing, recalibrating. You know, we are the cancers of this earth. We're supposed to be the practitioners, because people freaking, and instead of freaking, you know, getting ascending and feeling good in natural ways by just being out in nature and getting some exercise and eating good, clean, healthy food and things like that, you know, they traded that stuff in for booze and freaking eating just crap and just never exercising and buying all this expensive stuff that just basically shows me every time I see somebody that is shrouded, you know, designer this and that. I'm just like, dude, there's very little spirit of you. And people that freaking donate to nonprofits and get tax donations, you don't count. You're all just spare parts, in the words of Letterkenny. You're all just spare parts. You know, people have so much. People have more on this planet. It's not backed by anything, but they got more than as far as I know, any other time in history, because they just keep printing freaking monopoly money and shit like that. But still, the cracks of society get wild. And look at all the. See, I'm one of the. I don't believe that there's 7 billion people on this planet. I think maybe there's like 4 or 5. You know, I just think that they keep counting. Like when you search up your name, and if you lived all over the place, if there you have the people that move around. They have, like, you know, I've lived in 5 states, not because I wanted to, but anyway, people move around a lot, and it's just like, are they still counting them in each location, you know? So instead of me being one person that lives in New Mexico, are they still counting me as a population in California, Oregon, Nebraska, and Arizona for a minute or two? You know, and are they counting mom from New Mexico, where they took her from her parents and put her in an orphanage to perpetuate that early CPS system? You know, all this stuff that's coming out, I'm like, I honestly didn't ever think that it would. So just the fact that some people know about this stuff is is cool to me. You know, all this stuff. You know, my whole life and mom's life is based on stuff of the shit that doesn't happen. That's how I know, like that politician. You know, it's just. Dude was probably freaking, dude, that's what I was like. So I posted on a comment, I'm like, dude, nobody freaking noticed his zippers down. He was probably freaking watching porn on his phone when he was driving down the road, freaking, you know, jerking off, and then because he was going 57 and a 40, you know, on his cell phone. These scumbags, dude. I know, oh, dude. None of this stuff that freaking these perverts have ever fucking revealed to me is anything I've ever fucking wanted to see. It's all disgusting and gross. And it's your dads, and it's your uncles, and it's your brothers, and, you know. But when people like me speak out, that's my dad! I'm like, yeah, your dad's a fucking pervert, you know. You might want to freaking go talk to some therapists. You probably got some digressed memories. Hope he didn't change your diapers and stuff like that. I know so many girls that their dads freaking ruined them. I don't think that's the thing, is when I read the police report, it wasn't anybody I knew. It wasn't any relative, anything like that. I think that's worse. I mean, it's bad. It's all bad. It's all bad. You know, it makes people strong and tough as nails, or it makes them so passive that they just a freaking blob of freaking disassociation. That's unfortunate too. But I could always recognize the people that are of strength of character. I mean, I used to do, when I was growing up, I did my fair share of hallucinogenics, psilocybin, Alice, you know, hanging out. And there's just, You could tell, like, who the mental minis are. You could, it's like, dude, I would never fucking trip with you because you're freaking wuss. It's just people, just their fabric breaks down. People's fabric dissolves real easy, and then you put them in a position of stress or anything like that, and then it's just like, we're gonna see more of it, more and more of it. God, there's this one lady, she lost both her parents in a couple months. If my dad, I'm not gonna be sad about it. I'm not. You know, that's the thing. Everybody, mom, dad, Jerry, they all told me at one time or another, just because we're related doesn't mean that I have to love you. And I was like, all right. You know, I was the last born, you know. And I don't even know the circumstances of my birth. For I know, like, freaking, you know. My parents were divorced, and then all of a sudden, and nobody, it's a dirty secret nobody ever talks about, so. And I found out about it on freaking, on Ancestry.com because mom did a freaking DNA test and they brought all these records back. And I was like, wait a minute, it says you guys were divorced in 72. I was born in 74. What's that about? But they hated each other. Like, I got 10 years sober, and if they would have all shown up, my brother and my dad came out, they had a coffee and stuff for me, and if it was really important to me that they all went to see me get my coin and stuff like that, but mom stayed home. She wouldn't do it. She wouldn't, and my dad wouldn't come back and see me again because he didn't want to have anything to do with me because mom lived down and her room was in the basement. So it's just like, you know, people are like, boundaries this and boundaries that, and I'm just like, dude, ain't nobody ever fucking respect my boundaries and do what I ask, you know, like what my wishes, my desires, my, you know, speak up and tell people, you know, teach people how to treat. No, I tell people what I want in life and they do the opposite. You know, because I used to be a really shitty judge of character. You know, I was the person that freaking, you know, didn't get loved, a lot of love and nourishment and nurturing and all that stuff when I was little. So it's just like, I would be, you know, you were nice to me, I'd be your best friend. Then I grew up. I got way more discernment now. I don't do that anymore. As a matter of fact, you know, I look at everything as balance, and me having relationships with people that I'm constantly putting the effort in and doing everything all the time. And you know those people that are like, you keep track. Yeah, I noticed that I'm, you know, doing all this stuff, and, you know, and most of the time I have most of the time very little comes back. So yeah, I noticed that. I do keep track of that. You know, it doesn't take much to let me know that people, you know, because I love letting people know that how much I care about them and I appreciate them. It's fun to be thoughtful, you know. And if it's just me, it gets unfun. It's unfun. I'd rather, because I'm talking about people that just don't appreciate it, that just don't appreciate things. You know, the ones that just, you know, I used to, this girl that I dated, I would take, when I go visit her, when I left, I'd take her garbage out. If it was full, I'd take it out with me on my way, because I park out down by the dumpster. And she wouldn't even like say thank you. And after a while, and I understand it's more about how I am than it is, but I've been a doormat my whole life. That's what people don't understand. So when I stand up for myself, it's good for me. I'm proud of myself when I do that. And I didn't feel like she appreciated very much, and so I stopped doing it. And she had the audacity one time when I was leaving to actually say to me, you know, you haven't taken my garbage out in a while. And I was like, yeah, well, it is your garbage. You know what I mean? She was a piece of work, man. She slept with the roommate I had. She ended up marrying a dirty Jesuit, so it all worked out. They're a match made in hell. They really are, so, you know. It's just, but that for me, that was 8 years. There were periods of like in between that we didn't speak for like a year. We just ignore each other for like because we'd see each other all the time, a couple times a week. We just ignore each other, and then have to be principled about it. And but it just no, I'm not good at acting like I like people that I don't. And so she so there, but it was 8 years of me, because I once I get my heart set on unconditional love, then there's no conditions. But she kept putting out conditions of things that it's just like, Marge, what are you gonna, I made fun of people that put up with behavior like I put up with from her. Like, I'd call them little bitches and freaking, doormat and all that stuff. And that was me. Now, I did that. I put up with so much stuff, I just didn't care, because I saw the potential. I had an idea of how things were, back when I used to hang on to the ideas. I don't hang on to ideas of how things are going to play out. I have no idea. And relationships have been a priority they used to be a priority. I just wanted to be nothing more in life than to be in love, but I always wanted to have a best friend, it was best friend first with benefits, bonus stuff and all that good stuff, but it's not as good as the friendship to me. And that's in my chart too. That's verified by my planetary alignments. But yeah, that was 8 years of me freaking just determining how much I'm willing, to tolerate just to be in that relationship. And now I've done like a complete 180, and I have no tolerance. I have no desire, and most of the time I look around and girls are just dumb girls. There's a lot of fucking dumb girls on this planet. I know there's smart girls, but I don't know. I'd never freaking see them at the grocery store in fucking Taos, New Mexico, or anything like that. I gotta figure out what time they go, or where they shop. And if they shop at Albertsons, then they're not smart to me, because that place is stupid with their whole fucking mass bullshit. Yeah. Anyway, I think I've about run my mouth long enough. What else is going on? There is a lot of freaking people showing their asses. I just saw an article a minute ago that people got sick on like a $400-$500 champagne bottle of champagne. They all got shit because people lace stuff. They think it's funny. I don't know. I never understood that, but they laced it with ecstasy, and so people freaking were tripping and stuff, and all these people ended up getting sick, really sick from it, I was pulling out today, and when I was going into town, I like to drive around. It snowed this morning, so after the snow, if you want to go over and look at my Instagram profile, I posted some pictures. I love the picture. It's one's the thumbnail after snow. When I lived in Nebraska, I like going out after snow and taking pictures, especially this snow that we had today. It had a lot of density in it, although it didn't have a lot of moisture. So it was like really heavy, but it wasn't wet. Does that make sense? Makes sense to me when I was shoveling, man. It freaking sucked because I got to shovel a path for the dogs. But so, and all the propaganda is just insane. I mean, the level of hypocrisy of the people of this nation is just freaking mind-numbing, And that's why they do it. That's why they do it, just to keep people in a constant headspace, just so that people don't ever stand for anything. People are wishy-washy, The emotional appeal. I was going to do a talk about that. The emotional appeal, where they play on people's emotions. I could talk about that for another half hour, but I'm not going to do that now. So we'll just see what more and more people. I mean, we got to help people on the freaking, down here in real Lifesville, because the cracks of society are only. I saw something that like the median home in Toronto is like in the millions. No, And shame on you real estate agents for telling people to drive up their prices. Shame on you. Like, all this inflation, is this more stuff that they say that doesn't happen, yet people do. The gouging, the price gouging. You know, we just came off of 2 years where all these companies and businesses got millions and billions of dollars to bail out the businesses to keep the economy going. You think that they could, you know, after they got that, all that, you think that they could pass the savings on to the people, maybe, you know, keep the prices at a level that people can maintain? You know, they don't, because they're riding the freaking wave. You know, all these people are so greedy. There is going to be hell to pay. And it's going to manifest in people's lives. That's going to play out however. It's going to be different in everybody's life, depending on, are you living for yourself or are you living for people around you to make their lives better too? And the freaking people are so shallow, man. Oh my gosh. I can't believe it. Like, it's getting bad. It's getting bad. They're creating these personas and they're like the living avatar. And there's very, very little authenticity in there because people are just too busy playing roles. Politicians are actors. Actors are politicians. It's, you know, they just keep people keeping their heads spinning. And it's just like people don't know what to believe in because they're not consistent. And where would they learn to be consistent? You know, it's either your parents teach you how to be consistent. My parents taught me how to be consistent because I hated inconsistency so much. I hate inconsistency, so I practice and I use it as a discipline to be consistent. And I really try. I can honestly say I've lived here, you know, I've lived here over a year. You moved here a year December. It was a year. December 10th. It was a year. And there's not one single person in this town that I've screwed over. And I look around and I'm like, dude, I look at the people that can't say that they can't say that they haven't screwed somebody over in the last year. How many people could say that? There's so many people that can't say, I haven't fucking screwed, I haven't, you know, consistently lied to somebody, freaking, you know. And I've done a handful of things to freaking make people's lives a little bit better, too. So, I don't know. When I meet my maker, I saw a movie when I was, I don't know, in my early 20s called Defending Your Life with Al Brooks and Meryl Streep. And, you know, I appreciate these movies and songs and musicians and music and stuff for the times that they remind me of. I am not putting any kind of precedence or devotion on them. Because they sold their soul. They did. So many people sold out, just signed their freaking. I wonder how many people really signed their freaking, sold their soul in blood, signed in blood. Probably not their blood. Probably not. Because they don't want to get hurt. They don't want to get messy. But ultimately, you always got to do something where you get messy. And that's what these people. I used to watch that polished, unpolished show. And that Lexi Martone or whatever, she's very talented. She is very talented. She often frequently makes declarations of being a witch and stuff like that. And I'm just like, it's a slippery slope. It's all fun and games until you got to freaking slit the throat of a goat. You know, but you put enough booze in somebody, it probably might think it's fun. You know. And then they wake up and they're like, oh my God, did I do that? Incomprehensible demoralization. So, people are bailing. That's what I was talking about, the population thing. People are bailing. People are leaving the United States. Look, everywhere I look. I even saw that Isabel chick freaking ditch the USA. You know, these people, they freaking make their fortunes here, you know. And then, thanks a lot, bye. You know. I'm going to go to be a humanitarian in some other part of the country. Thanks for everything. I'm just going to shit on the floor out before I leave, you know.